Hey guys, this is Blitztrack, and before we go any further with this video, I just wanted to say that I'm gonna put down the timestamps of this video down in the description. It's just so, for example, if you're just here for the loadout, you can click on the timestamp named loadout and it's just gonna take you straight to it and you won't have to waste your time watching the whole video. I did this because I tend to talk a lot and sometimes people are in a hurry and they just want that one thing, and to get that one thing they just end up watching the whole video which they never wanted to. Moving on, so this video is gonna be about Furia. Now I wanted to make this video when she came out, but after playing her for a while I felt like I needed more time with her to collect my thoughts on how to play her, what is the best loadout for her, and what are her weaknesses, what are her strong points, etc. And now I can say that she is pretty strong at what she does. Now there is one problem with her, which is her survivability, but you can fix that if you position yourself properly according to your team. But before we discuss this any further, we have to take a look at her loadout, because loadouts in this game is really important and they can change your gameplay drastically. So the first thing is, which talent do you want to use? Now there are only two talents that you can use if you want to play her as a solo healer, and I would say that Solar Blessing is stronger but it's not very consistent. And the second one is Cherish, which is also very good and very consistent at what it does. So why is Solar Blessing not very consistent? Well, I'll give you one example. Suppose you want to heal your tank on mid because he's pretty low. So you will press Q to launch your fire strike in that direction, but suddenly your damage dealer, for example let's say Tyra, comes in between you and your tank. Then your fire strike is gonna hit that Tyra. Even if she is full HP, it's gonna just hit her and stop right there, and your tanks are gonna just die. Because this is how this card works. Whenever it hits your teammates, the first teammate that it hits, it's just gonna stop there and heal them for like 300 HP every 0.05 second, which is a ridiculous amount of heals, which is more than Drover's ult if I am not wrong. But as you can see from the previous example, it's not just, you can't hit it every time, you're gonna miss it a lot. And even though if you're not missing it, it's gonna require an immense amount of teamwork to make it viable. Because in a public match, the only target you can go for is the tank, because only they are still enough to hit it consistently. Moving on to Cherish, it's a pretty simple card. You just have to press your right click and your allies are gonna get 50% additional HP depending on their missing HP. So to explain this simply, let's just say your tank have a health pool of 5000 and he's down to 50% of his health. So he's gonna get an additional 50% heal based on the HP he's missing, which is 2500. So it's gonna be around 1250. Now I don't know if it's an overtime heal or it's just like in an instant. So obviously Solar Blessing is better if you compare the numbers, but Cherish is better practically. Personally I would go for Cherish most of the times because it's a pretty good talent and it's very safe and does its job very efficiently. Moving on to the loadout. Now this loadout is not optimized properly yet, but for now it's working pretty good for me. This loadout works best with Cherish, but you can still use it for Solar Blessing too if you want to, but I would suggest that you use it for Cherish. I will maybe make a loadout specifically for Solar Blessing in the future, but for now this is the best loadout that I can give you guys. So as you guys can see, our first card is Burning Oath, and this card is very important for Furia because she doesn't have any talents that can heal herself. So this is the only card that's gonna help you with her survivability, which is already very low, so you have to keep this card in every loadout that you make. I have set it at level 5, but you can also keep it at level 4 if you want to use that 1 point on some other card. Next up we have Light Force at level 4. Now it's gonna reduce your Kindle Soul cooldown by 1 second. You can also keep it at level 5 if you want to, it's just personal preference. I like it at level 4 because I think that at level 5 it doesn't really do much and you waste your point basically for nothing. Sure, that 0.2 seconds will build over time, but it's not that game changing. Now the next card is gonna be the Light of Dawn, and this card is really good, and you can also say that it's kind of broken, because what this card does is it's gonna give your ally a shield whenever you use your heal on them, and I have set it to level 4 which means that they're gonna get a 400 HP shield for 2 seconds, which is enough in a 1v1 situation. And the reason I say that it's kind of broken, because even if you counter her heals by buying Cauterize, your opponent is still gonna get a 400 HP shield for 2 seconds. And in a 1v1 situation where you have only Cauterize, you can counter her heals by 90%. Let's just say that you have a Cauterize level 3. But there is no way you are gonna counter that 400 extra HP which she just gave her teammate in the form of a shield, which is kind of like a substitute HP which you cannot counter by buying just the Cauterize. So your teammates need to buy Wrecker too, and one person cannot buy both of these things. So in a 1v1 situation, that card really does make her a bit overpowered if you compare her to other healers. But that doesn't mean that she is completely broken. You may suffer a bit of a problem going against someone who is getting healed by Furia in a 1v1 situation where you just have Cauterize and you do not have any Wrecker on your team, or the person who have Wrecker is not shooting at the target who is getting healed by Furia. So these are the problems that you may face against a team who is running Furia as their main healer, because all the good Furia players will run this card most of the time. Now the next two cards are just to fill up the points, and you can use anything in place of these two cards, but I like to run these two cards and there is a reason for that. So the first card I am using is Stoke of Fire, and it does help me reduce the cooldown of my Pyre Strike a little bit. And the last card I am using is Hallowed Sight. It is a really unique card in Furia's arsenal. So the reason I am using this card as a filler card is because whenever you use your Pyre Strike, it's gonna stun them for 1 second and then they're gonna get up and then they're gonna turn right or left. If you are using this card, then they are gonna be revealed for 2 seconds after they get hit by your Pyre Strike, and you are exactly gonna know that which way they are going to go, and you can make the call to your team that that player is going to the left flank or the right flank. Now let's talk about how you can position yourself with Furia according to your team. The thing is, Furia's movement talent works kind of like Fernando's charge but in the opposite direction, and it will get some time to get used to. So obviously as a healer you would like to be in the back lines so you can see everyone in order to heal them. But with Furia you would like to be a bit more aggressive because she have an insane amount of damage in her kit which you would want to use in order to help your team efficiently. So in order to do that, I position myself behind my tanks and with my damage dealers. The first reason to do this is because you have low survivability compared to other support champions that are in the game, so you would need all the help that you can get from your damage dealer. So stay close to them as much as you can, because if you stay too far behind, then you are gonna be the first one to be flanked by the enemy team, and your damage dealers might not notice this. Then you might end up dying and your team is gonna die too because they have no sustain on the point in the game. Now this doesn't mean that you cannot deal with a flanker on your own, because Furia have a lot of burst damage in her kit if you combine all of her abilities. So for example, a flanker is right in your face attacking you. You can press your Q and Pyre Strike them in their face. They're gonna be stunned for 1 second, and then you can shoot them once, and then you can press your F, which is gonna hit them with a lot of burst damage in 1 or 2 seconds. This means all of your abilities are on cooldown, and that makes you an easy target for the next person who is going to rush you. So this is the reason you would want to stay close to your damage dealers, because if they see a low HP target or a flank in your backlines, they are going to shoot them. The second reason would be you have a lot of damage that I just explained why. So you would want to stay close to your damage dealers in order to help them take out the target that they are shooting at. I know I talked a lot about her damage, but at the end of the day she is a healer, so don't forget to heal your teammates who are low on HP. It's really simple. One click will take away 330 HP and another click will give away 1000 plus HP to your teammates. So I would let you guys decide which is better. And another thing is, which is really unique with Furia, is when you heal your teammates, your main attack, which is Fire Blade, will build up this energy and it's gonna reduce the time between your each shot. So if you heal your teammates, it's gonna help you deal even more damage to the enemy team. Now moving on to her ultimate In Flame, I would say that it's pretty powerful, especially in the start of a round or when you're just about to push the payload and your team is having a hard time killing the opponent team. So when you ult, you would want to make sure that at least your damage dealers are close to you, because it's gonna give them 30% bonus damage and 30% bonus movement speed for 8 seconds to the teammates who are within 150 feet to yourself. Moving on to the itemization, you can go for Cauterize or Wrecker, whatever is needed by your team. And for utility, you can go for Chronos if you have a Solar Blessing build, or if you have Cherish, you can go for Chronos or Morale Boost. And for defense, you can go for blue items or the green ones. If the enemy team have a lot of Cauterize, then I would suggest that you stay away from the green items and go for blue like Haven or Blast Shield, whichever is needed. And if the enemy team doesn't have a lot of Cauterize, then you can obviously go for green items like Life Rip, which I would personally go for. But the order to buy things should be that you should go for your yellow items first, like Chronos or Morale Boost, at least to level 2. And then you can rank up your offensive items to level 3 or level 2, whatever you think is right for the situation. And in the last, you can go for that defense, which you may not need if you stay close to your teammates. And by the time this video comes out, I would imagine that Hi-Rez would have nerfed some of her abilities or cards. So anyway, this is it for the video and I'll see you guys in the next one.